I'm trying to make my locks more respectable. I wonder if it's working. Or my fade. Welcome back to my channel. I am Morgan-Allison. We are in front of the bookcase, which means we are about to talk some ish. I literally just dropped my stuff, set up my ring light. I just got back from family vacation with all of my nieces and nephews but one. I say that because we're about to talk about auntie, right? And I am auntie. I've been auntie since I was auntieing since I was 4 years old. And I am 28 years old and I'm still auntie. Before we get into the auntie talking about her nieces wearing bonnets in public, I need y'all to know this one thing. Around here, if you don't know anything from my page, if you don't understand anything else from me, from my page, is we protect Black women, we uplift Black women, and if that is not your MO, get from around here, okay? We don't need that. That's not it. We don't use Black women for clickbait. We don't do that, okay? We uplift Black women, okay? We don't use Black women's pain to make money. We do not do that, okay? We do not do that. So if that is you, if you think that is okay, get from around here. So like I mentioned, I am auntie, and the woman we are about to get into is auntieing. I said claims to be auntie. People claim her as auntie because that seems to be the culture we have, where someone of a certain age is auntie or uncle in the community. She steps on the stage, she steps on the Instagram and says, as auntie, y'all got to stop coming out in public with bonnets on your head, because it's not showing that you have pride in yourself. It is not showing that you are presentable. It's not showing that you have pride in the family that you have created, that you are representing. And she says, look like you have pride. That's what we're here to talk about. So I made reference to the fact that I was on family vacation because I've been talking about this issue since it came on the Instagram. And I was on family vacation talking about this, and my blood pressure was rising, and I don't have high blood pressure. And my anxiety was rising, my anger was rising, because it just bothers me and has been bothering me that people are just constantly on the heads of Black women. And I'm just like, can you let us live, please? And no, Morgan might not wear a bonnet. I own a bonnet. I do own a bonnet, but I don't wear a bonnet because I have locks. And I know people do have locks and wear bonnets, but I don't choose to wear a bonnet because that's not the thing I like to protect my head with, okay? It's not the thing I choose to wear. But that's not the point. We can't narrow a conversation because I don't have a bonnet, because I don't wear a bonnet, then it's not affecting you. It affects me because I'm a Black woman and I know women that wear bonnets, right? And that was an argument that was presented to me, that you don't wear a bonnet outside. I don't, but my nieces do. And I am the auntie that was saying, don't you come outside with no bonnet on your head. Not with me. And I know that that is because of my own issues of internalized respectability politics, internalized racism, and all that ish, right? But a lot of people who are having these conversations about these bonnets and are agreeing with Monique, I'm afraid don't understand what respectability politics are and how it affects Black people in this country, right? And that is the issue that I have, is that we have a lot of people on platforms who can just say stuff, right? Well, I'm a poet. We know I'm a poet. In my little intro, you see I'm a poet. And one of my favorite poets says in one of her poems, the most dangerous thing is a MC with a microphone whose mind is weak. And a lot of times we see people who have platforms, because we can make a platform. I have a platform. I have a YouTube channel. It might not be a large platform, but I have a YouTube channel where I can go on YouTube, say whatever I want to say. I have an Instagram. I can go on Instagram and say whatever I want to say to whomever wants to listen. we all have access to all these social media platforms where we can capitalize on the audiences that we have, and we can just say what we want to say. The danger in that is these people, and a lot of people who have conversations, who influence the culture, can influence the culture simply because they have a following. And a lot of times you have a lot of people agreeing with them, and the issue is that I don't want to call them weak-minded, but it's like, do you understand what you're saying, right? As I said before, being an auntie who has nieces who I've told, don't wear this out in public, because that was what was taught to me, right? Don't do X, Y, and Z. I projected that same thing back onto them. As I've got a little bit more woke, I understand what it was rooted in, right? And I'm slowly trying to break that. The thing is that we, as Black people, have learned how to assimilate to an extent to learn how to survive in this country. So it doesn't matter if the person has on a bonnet, if they have on a headscarf, if they're Black and they put on the suit, the tie, the dress, the heels, the makeup, the clean shave, if they cut their hair to a fade, it don't matter, you're still Black. But the idea of respectability politics is, if we looked respectable enough, we'll be accepted. If we look respectable enough, we won't be judged as Black people. We've reached a certain level, a threshold of separating ourselves from Blackness, right? And going through this, I am like going through this whole process of like just looking up and making sure I know what I know when I know what I know. Even though I got these degrees, sometimes I be questioning if I know what I know, right? So I'm looking up, like, I'm watching this video and I'm like, this video, I'm not even a minute in, and I'm like, ooh, this sound real respectability politics-y. This sound real like, you better do what they say, or you gon', you know what I'm saying? Sound real like you got to wear, you got to do what they deem as appropriate, or what white people what white folks have deemed as appropriate, just so that you can survive in this country. So in this process of just questioning myself, and I'm like, this ain't respectability politics. I look up what respectability politics, and I kid you not, there's an article that pops up, I think, on like the first page of Google. When I look up respectability politics and I type in Monique, there's a whole article already written about her talking about this. And it's like her argument is rooted in respectability politics, because one, a lot of people try to minimize this conversation to, you shouldn't have your inside clothes on outside. So that's one totally different argument, okay? That's a totally different argument. That's to say you shouldn't have your inside clothes on outside. That is maybe a justifiable argument, right? But to say don't wear your inside clothes outside because it will make it seem like you don't have pride in yourself, you don't represent your family well, etc., that is what turns it into respectability politics. And that is what I have a problem with, because you have absolutely no idea how these women feel about themselves, what they have access to. If you're talking about a woman who's and I say access, if you're talking to a woman who's just every day running around doing her thing with a bonnet on her head, you don't know what she got going on in her life. But if you're talking about a woman who is in the airport going from point A to point B with a bonnet on her head, 9 times out of 10, she's probably on vacation. She's trying to protect her hair, right? And probably does take pride in her hair, because if she has $200, $300, $400 worth of bundles in her head, I'm almost guaranteed she's trying to protect it, right? If she has natural hair, woman in the grocery store or the airport, if you got natural hair, if you're in the airport or the grocery store, you got bundles in your hair, you're maybe trying to protect your hair. Or if simply you just didn't feel like combing your hair and you just minding your own business, you got your bonnet on your hair and you run in the air, and that's your business, right? But to turn the argument to, you don't have pride in yourself and you're not acting queenly and you're not acting X, Y, and Z-ly, that is what turns it into respectability politics. Because a lot of times when we, in this country, we as Black people have learned how to assimilate to an extent to learn how to survive. when that is literally going to get us absolutely nowhere, right? Another poet, she's like, it's a poem called White Privilege. Just type it into YouTube, it's gonna pop up. It's called type White Privilege poem. It's by Kylie Lacey. I'm messing up her name. Her last name is Lacey, I do know that. And her first name starts with a K. Anyway, type it in, right? She starts off the poem. We learned your French, we learned your English, we learned your Dutch, we learned your Portuguese, you learned our nothing, and you called us stupid, right? So, and she says, that is white privilege. I say that to say, when you tell somebody, I don't see race, when white people say, I don't see race, I need you to see race, because I need you to see there's differences, right? I need you to see there is differences in us, and I can still be smart. I can wear my bonnet. I can be both, right? And the thing is, I can wear my bonnet and have pride. I can have my degrees and twerk, right? There is a such thing as both and, right? There's a such thing as duality. There's a such thing as I don't have to look like you to deserve to be treated well. I don't have to look like, and that is the thing right there, is that she says something about being deserving, about like, and that's the same argument that is presented when Black men or Black people Black women are presented with forms of violence. And, well, what did they have on? Or what were they doing? What difference does it make, right? If a woman is raped, well, what does she have on? What difference? So it's like this idea that you have to do certain thing in order to deserve whatever, or not deserve whatever it is that is coming to you. And that is not okay. So, and she turns it into an argument. She turns it into an argument of respectability politics when she also says, maybe this is why our community is the way our community is, or something to that effect, right? And it's like, because I have on a bonnet? No, our community is the way our community is because of racism, systematic oppression, systematic racism, all those things. Our community has been and I was watching an interview with somebody and they were like, Black people are the only, let me get comfortable. Black people are the only people in this country who have to carry the weight of the entire community, right? When a white person shoots, they said when a white person, and it was FDK Williams, when a white person shoots up a classroom, shoots up a school, Timmy was just having a bad day, right? When a Black person goes outside with a bonnet on, didn't shoot nobody, just has on a bonnet on, right? She's a disgrace to the whole entire community, right? She's not representing her family well, right? And I understand, like, I have been there. I am there half the time. I am still working on my issues with respectability politics, with all this internalized ish that I have going on, right? But we have to start getting to a point where it's like we understand what it is that we're saying, right? We have to start getting to a point where we understand what it is we're saying and why we're saying it, because it's starting to become very, very dangerous, in my humble opinion, when we continue these same conversations that have been projected on us by our people. When you look in the comments of this, you see over and over again, well, mess with you, speaking the truth, queen, you speaking it, you saying it's auntie, you saying it, Monique. People need to ascribe to a higher level of thinking to understand what you're saying. My grandmother said that just because your grandmother said it doesn't mean it's true, right? If we're living in 2021 and people are wearing bonnets ever the more out in public and doing what they want to do ever the more out in public, and your grandmother was probably in a point of time where she was had to wear and had to do certain things to survive, and they still didn't treat her well. We're in 2021 and we're still not being treated well, right? So it don't matter if I have on a bonnet or not. Like, I'm still not going to be treated well because I'm Black, right? And you know what I'm saying? I'm still going to be treated to an extent of like of oppression, because just because I'm Black, it does not matter if I have a bonnet on my head. It does not matter how I go outside and represent myself. I'm still going to be treated a certain way. Assimilation is not the answer. Assimilation is not going to get us any further than it's already gotten us, okay? The point is, we need to start allowing us to be ourselves. And the thing is, it's a Black thing. A bonnet is a Black thing in this moment. I was sent a picture of like of white women in bonnets in black and white, right? I was sent those pictures and I was like, okay, black people didn't invent bonnets. That's not the argument here. Black people didn't invent bonnets. That's not the argument. The argument is because black women are wearing the bonnets, black women are being told they're not prideful in themselves. They're being told they don't have present themselves well. If a white woman puts a bonnet on her head in 2021 today, it's going to be called fashionable. You know why? Because when black women wear their nails super duper duper long, it's ghetto. When white women do it, it's fashionable, right? I be wondering when white women wear their forces, do they worry about getting them creased? Because, yeah. Anyway, when black women just had regular hips and thighs and small waist, it was like, that's not beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Have nothing, right? Now that the white women are subscribing to these things, like, now it's beautiful. There's a girl on TikTok, she does this series called, is this a black woman or a white woman with aggressively tan? Or is this a white woman aggressively tanned? And she will literally block out their face and be like, white woman. And from everything from the neck down, looks like a black woman. And sometimes we take the dang on thing off their face, it looks like a black woman, right? And that just shows you that a white woman can do the same exact thing as a black woman and be called beautiful, right? If a white woman puts on a bonnet today, I promise it's not going to have that much effect on, it's not going to carry that much weight. But because a black woman puts on a bonnet and it's deemed not appropriate, she's being told she don't represent her country. She don't represent the race well. Why do I have to represent the entire race when I walk outside? It's because of respectability politics. We have to start getting to a point where we start understand why we're saying what we're saying. Just because your granny said it, just because your auntie said it, just because your mother said it, just because your daddy said it, don't mean it is rooted in anything that's going to free us, right? We can get into like Monique sitting in front of the camera with her bonnet, not her bonnet on. She don't have a bonnet on, but she is in the house with her robe on with no bra. We can get into that because we can also, we can compare Instagram to national TV. This video had over 300,000 views on it, right? We can compare Instagram to TV. We can compare Instagram to being a national a public forum, right? Which is, to me, would be the same as going outside with your robe and no bra on, which is still unacceptable to people in my family, right? If we make those two things comparable, how dare you sit here in a robe with no bra on in your house just because it's in your house and call out a woman who has a bonnet on her head who was literally only affecting the people who saw her, right? This picture with the women with the bonnets on would have not even been seen had the picture not been taken, right? But a woman coming on stage, coming on Instagram, saying X, Y, and Z in a robe with no bra on, how is it not the same, right? How is it not the same? Just because she's in her house? She has the potential to reach 1 million people. And I know if I went on camera, on anybody's camera, and I have a reach of over 1 million, and I could reach 1 million people, and I'm going to have on a robe and no bra on, my mother would have something to say, my aunts would have something to say, and my grandmothers would probably be rolling over in their graves. Okay? It's the same thing. But it's all rooted in respectability politics. If we're going to compare it, if we're going to make the argument that it is about pride and about representing yourself, and to whom are we representing ourselves, Monique? To whom? Because if we're going to talk about pride, I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? I'm straight. But if we're talking about representing ourselves, to whom are we representing ourselves? To whom are we trying to make ourselves look good? If it's literally about trying to make ourselves look better for white people, that's for the birds. Because that's still not going to make them not want to kill me. If I'm, you know what I'm saying? That's still not going to want to make them not want to do harm to me because what I don't have on a bonnet. It's the idea that when you put deserving and looks in the same category, that is what makes this argument like, that's what this argument becomes a struggle to me, because when you put that logic together, it's like, that is what rape culture is. She deserved that. he deserved to be, that black man deserved any kind of violence that was coming his way simply because he was sagging. Okay, I think that's all I have for today. I'm sorry if the video was too long for your liking, but I needed to get this off my chest. This is literally off the dome. I mean, I had my notes. I don't even know if I probably repeated some stuff or whatever, but the point is I needed to get it off my chest, and the point is that assimilation is going to get us absolutely nowhere, and that if you want to have the argument of not wearing your pajamas outside, that's one argument. But when you start talking about deserving, when you start talking about representation, when you start talking about how it looks to other people, that is respectability politics, and I can't get with it, right? And again, I say I was that auntie, period. I'm that auntie. I was that auntie. I am that auntie, and I know what I struggle with. I know the internalized things I have to work with, right? I know what I'm working on, right? But the two things I'm seeing is like, you don't wear your outside clothes your inside clothes outside, and you have to represent yourself well. Those are two different arguments, and that is what we have to realize. So I will leave you with this: be careful of the people you follow on Instagram and social media and YouTube and all that. If they don't have the wherewithal, the knowledge base to back up what they're talking about, just because they say it, just because they have a platform, don't mean they're right. Okay, so that's all I have for today. If you ain't learned nothing today, we protect black women around here. And if you don't like black women, if you have a disdain towards black women, get from around here. We don't do that around here. So yeah, thank you for joining me on another episode of Black Girl Navigating. We're navigating bonnets. We're navigating bonnets. Thank you again though, and assimilation ain't getting us nowhere. Peace out.